Phil Anselmo, lead singer of the Pantera / Dimebag and Vinny tribute situation, disavows the Confederate flag, something that I don't know that I ever thought I would see, but he's done that shit. Phil Anselmo, more than any member of Pantera, has been questioned in regards to racism. As I've said in the past, he looks like a skinhead, and the guy did a fucking Zig Heil on video. You can't, it's really hard to come back from doing the fucking Zig Heil and saying white power. If you want the whole story behind that, go check out the video we did about it. I'm not even going to get into it. Let's just say there's some suspicion on the behalf of the public that Phil Anselmo is a racist dude. It's something that has dogged Phil his entire career, and he's, I guess, going out of his way to make sure people know exactly where he stands on that issue. Here recently in a show in, where was this? This was in Bulgaria, where somebody in the crowd had a Confederate flag. And Phil Anselmo specifically pointed the fucking thing out and said that he disavows the Confederate flag.
One little thing. There's a person over here holding up this sign trying to ruin the fucking show. I disavow the fucking flag. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous, man. Keep politics out of shit. It's boring.
You have Rex there, who was also a member of the original Pantera. He gives the fucking thing thumbs down. When you talk about Pantera and the Confederate flag, that shit is very much intertwined. If you look at Pantera pre-Phil Anselmo, there was none of this Southern shit. They had the LA look with the teased hair and the blonde and all that shit. Rex Rocket instead of Rex Brown, and Diamond Daryl instead of Dimebag Daryl, and all that shit. So they were not doing any Southern shit at all. They didn't start to sort of express their Southernness until they released, one of their classic albums, Cowboys from Hell. It's clearly marketing, the whole Confederate flag thing and all that shit, and you know it, because at the end of Vinny and Dime's life, they all dropped that shit. They never came out and made the point to say, oh, I disavow the flag. And Rex Brown, he spoke to that. He was talking about the fact that, the Great Southern Trendkill, which in my opinion, the greatest Pantera album of all. And Rex said, and I quote, "The Confederate flag is on the back cover of the Great Southern Trendkill. That was the Southern part of it. There were still states that had that on their state flags. Nowadays, it's forbidden to use it. It's not so politically correct, but it had nothing to do with racism. None of us were like that. It was just a tie-in to the artwork on the back cover. Even back then, I said, this is not the way to go. Leonard Skinner used one for years and still do. Now people confuse it with racism and hatred. That's not what this band is about at all. Quite the opposite. But it's the only thing I would say in the PC days that I have any regrets about." So Rex Brown backing way the fuck off and saying, I told y'all motherfuckers all the way back in the day, I told you not to have that shit. Being raised in the South, it was a completely acceptable thing. And let's not act like it has not been a part of pop culture up until very recently. So somebody that was, raised in the 70s or the 60s or whatever, they don't get it. And I understand why they don't get it, because they were raised to not feel that way about that flag. But as time goes on, the way I always felt about it was like, okay, I don't give a fuck about it. It doesn't mean anything. It's not a country that exists anymore. I had fucking Confederate flag Pantera tees. For a while, that's all there was. I was raised a Dukes of Hazzard fan. We had Lynyrd Skynyrd records in the house and shit like that. The Confederate flag was not fucking weird to me. But at the same time, as I got older, I'd wear it to like the grocery store and motherfuckers are looking at me hard and shit like that. And it's like, God damn, like I don't give a fuck about this. This is not, it's a cool t-shirt. It's my favorite band. But I'm not trying to make people feel bad. I'm not trying to make people want to fight me for no fucking reason. I'd rather just drop the shit. And I think that's essentially what Phil has done. He's been so maligned with this racism shit. He's got to score some fucking brownie points. I would say this. I got tickets to the fucking Dallas show. I am really, really interested in if this motherfucker is going to say that type of shit, because I guarantee you that there will be many a Confederate flag flying when we have that show pop off in Dallas. And I would really, really love to see the reaction if Phil made a point to say, fuck this politics and all that bullshit, fuck the Confederate flag. Like, would they boo him in Dallas? I don't fucking know. What made Dallas such a stronghold for Pantera is Vinny and Dime, and those guys are obviously not around anymore. So I wonder what type of loyalty people would necessarily have to this weird zombie Pantera. Several people did complain that even though Phil did disavow the flag, the merch that was on sale there still had Confederate flags. And, you know, people who are going to see Pantera, there is a nostalgia element there. And you would want like the old school tees, the throwback tees. But to me, dude, this was a fuck up. Like, you know, I've designed shirts for several bands over the years, and it's not that big of a fucking deal to produce something, especially if you're a band like Pantera that's going to have a bit of a marketing budget and shit like that. Why not make a new round of shirts that had that throwback look? Anyone that knows Pantera gear knows that it wasn't just Confederate flags. There were also two major components to Pantera shit: titties and weed. Go back. Let's make some throwback ass fucking t-shirts with you know, just fucking all type of weed shit. There were already some classic throwback Pantera shirts that were highly weed related. Also skulls. That's a big element of Pantera stuff. Skulls, titties, weed. You can still make classic Pantera merch without having to use the Confederate flag. If you really do disavow that shit, then cut it the fuck out. It is a little bit disingenuous to say I don't support it, but then you're fucking pocketing money off of shit that has the flag on it. They should absolutely do it. And plus, they would be collector's items, you know, in terms of the shirts. You could say limited edition. We're only printing these for the fucking live shows. Get yours now. It's going to be big time. Like right now, there's a lot of t-shirt trading and shit like that going on in the heavy metal world. People give a fuck about rare shirts and stuff like that. So yeah, they should do that shit. Fuck keeping that old merch. I was looking around to see sort of what the temperature was in terms of the reaction online. My homie Hard Facts says history isn't politics. He's so afraid of the cancel culture, he will fold with virtue signaling to keep his new cash cow milking. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel that way. Phil Anselmo, anyone who believes that he's a racist, that's what they believe. And he could say all this shit. He could virtue signal as much as he wants. He's never going to get on these motherfuckers' good side. I hope that's not what he's doing here. But like I said, if I were him, I would have done that shit a long fucking time ago, because it's something that has dogged him. And I really feel like the Confederate flag stuff was less his idea and more of a Vinnie Paul Dimebag Darrell thing. Next, my homie Milk says, whatever you do, it's never enough for the lefties. That's why you should never apologize if you don't really mean it. If I were Phil, I would hate that motherfucking flag. I'd say you've caused me nothing but goddamn anguish. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You know what would be really interesting is if they put something in with security ahead of time where like all Confederate flag shit is confiscated at the door. Where that would fucking start like riots and shit. Imagine you stop like one of these fucking drunk ass beer gutted meth heads and said, sir, I got to take your flag and your fucking deal. You ain't taking my flag, motherfucker. And it's going to be some riots up in that motherfucker. I cannot wait. See you at the Pantera show.